So a couple of years ago, I made a Backrooms environment with gameplay elements, monsters, player cameras, and the new movie came out and I figured, hey, why not just make an update? Because I realized that I am colorblind and I thought the Backrooms was green. Wouldn't you know, it was actually orange. So I got my girlfriend to help me with the color. I did a complete revamp of the environment. I added a new NPC, I've added a door key lock system. The new update includes new tunnels, new props, ladders, drills, you name it, just stuff lying around the place. It's got vents, it's got a new carpet material so that it uses distance field lighting to do the edges. And it's got a whole bunch of new sound effects, so it's got a total of 105 sound effects now, which is way overkill. In fact, I've added so much that I literally can't even think of how much I've added. It's taken a full day to record this video, and my dog is sick of it and is just absolutely begging for food right now. So without further ado, I might just get started and talk about a few things about the asset, maybe run through some tutorials, and finally get this baby some food. So, first things first, let's have a look at the asset. We got quite a large level here, it's just mostly a demo. I'd expect if you're going to make a game out of this, you'd make it much larger. The environment is made up of a whole bunch of different meshes. Some of them are wall blocks, some of them are singular. And they all have a 5 centimeter grid snap, so if you drag them out, you can move them around. Now the thing I've done differently with this asset compared to most Backrooms assets is I've actually made the corners smoothed, and that really adds the effect when you're playing in game, because you can see how the reflections definitely make it more realistic. I've included a bunch of light blueprints, and in these blueprints you can set the stationary and static intensity because it has 2 lights here. And the reason why I included 2 is because I wanted more global illumination in the environment to make it more bright in the shadowy areas. But as you might know, static lighting doesn't cast shadows on dynamic objects, so I added the stationary light as well. I kept the radius small so that there's not too many overlaps because Unreal has a cap for that. And that helps you cast shadows on entities, players, or whatever you have in your level. Now you're probably wondering, does this use Lumen? The answer unfortunately is no. The reason why is because Epic Games loves advertising Lumen as their next big feature, but unfortunately, even with the Mega Lights plugin, if you run your tests at home, it is always going to be worse performance than baked lighting. And for an environment with literally hundreds of lights that are visible in these scenes, like for example, if I go here, you're going to be seeing hundreds of lights in the scene. You cannot use global illumination for this, it is too expensive. When I tested it, it was running at around 20 to 30 frames a second on a RTX 3090. Now you're probably wondering how the frame rate runs. On my PC you can see it's running between 150 to 160 frames a second. And depending on where you are, it doesn't seem to change much. So this just means that it's roughly whatever the editor is currently running at. It wouldn't really change much depending on what happens in the scene. Like, I'm getting hit right now, I'm interacting with multiple enemies, and it is still running at around 135, 140 frames a second. If you want to increase that at home, the easiest way to do it is to decrease the light map resolution. I'll show you here right now. The light map density is actually quite high, and that's just because I wanted maximum realism. If you lower this, it's going to have a lot less memory for the GPU being used. And everything else here should be pretty fine because it's just using basic static lighting and not really too much going on. Alright, so let's cover the door key system. I basically have one blueprint in this level which covers the doors and the keys. It's called BP Door Key Manager. Now I'm going to drag this up because I think my face is covering it. In fact, let me just turn off my face. There we go. Now, super simple. You have an array, and this array has your door and your key. And if you use BP door and BP key found in the door and key folder under blueprints, anytime you drag this into the level, and you have your little key here, you can change the color of the key, You can do whatever you need to. So that's like blue now. If you drag in your door, let's call this BP door video. Let's call this key BP key video. All you have to do is click the door key manager, add a new entry to the array, and click your door video, click your key video, and now it's going to associate that key with that door. And the great part about this is you can have multiple doors, and they can use the same key. So I'm going to add another one here. We'll call it door video 2, key video, and now if I hit play, and I pick up the key, I can open either of these doors. So now I'll just run you through a quick explanation on how that blueprint works, just so you can incorporate it into your own game, do your own customization, and also just get a general idea of the quality of the blueprints that I've got in this level. So first things first, I have in the blueprint door and key folder a component called BP key inventory. If you open that up, you'll see under my blueprint there is an array called keys in inventory with the type BP key. This basically exists in the player pawn, and it's there so that it stores the keys that the player has picked up. Now if you open up BP key, you'll notice that it has 3 events. One is hover, one is unhover, and there's event interact. Now, in order for these to get called, basically in the player pawn, you have to ensure that the class settings has the interface BPI interact. And now in the player pawn, under the interaction key, it's going to grab the interaction capsule, which is this little guy here. It'll check for overlapping actors, and then it'll check if those actors implement the interface so that it can call the interact. Now, if you open up BP key again, it'll make more sense because when that capsule is overlapping the key, it will now call the interact. So what interact does is it asks if the interacting component has the key inventory. If it does not, it doesn't do anything. If it does, then it's going to run the pickup functions. The pickup function is essentially adding this current key that it's picking up to the keys in inventory array, playing the sound, and then hiding the key so that it can't be picked up anymore or interacted with. Now that's all fine and dandy, but the door itself also needs to know whether the player has the correct key. So how does it do that? Well, if you open it up, at the start of the game, it's going to find the associated key for this door. It'll get the door key manager from the level, it'll create a reference to it, and then what it'll do is it'll go through the door key manager's door key array, and it's going to break down the structure to find whether this current door, for example, this door here, exists in that array, and then it'll find the associated key that's next to it. So basically in the door key manager, you have BP door video and its associated key is BP key video. If it doesn't find that, it's just going to do nothing. So now, when you try to interact with it, it's going to check if there is an associated key to this door. And if that's the case, it's then going to check the inventory that the player has, because the player is the actor that's interacting with it. And it's going to check if the key is in its inventory. And if it is in the inventory, it runs the event open door, which runs the little animation and all that stuff. But if it's not there, it'll then run the failed door attempt, which is like when it shakes a little and nothing happens. Gee, so it's been a long video. I am almost done. It's probably taken me about 4 hours now. Even my dog is getting tired. Boris, come here. Say hello. Boris, say hello. Say hello. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh. Oh. Alright, so, last things last, I will show you how to get the NPCs working. So, first things first, you gotta make sure there's a navigation volume, nav mesh volume, sorry, in the level. Nav mesh bounds volume. What am I saying? I'm so tired. Drag that in the level, and make sure it covers all of the surfaces that you want your AI to be on. If you hit the P on the keyboard, the key letter P, it's going to show you all of the navigation areas that your characters can move to. I've already got one that covers this level, so they can pretty much travel anywhere except for the corridor little tunnel things, which is good for hiding. And now literally all you have to do is drag in your entities, whether that be the bacterium, the zombie, or the smiler, and it's just going to work straight out of the box. They're just going to hunt the player, and they won't stop until you are dead or until you manage to escape. Anyway, that's all for this tutorial slash trailer slash explanation video. I don't even know what to call it. It's been a long night. It's been a long time since I've made a video like this, so if you enjoyed it and you want to support me, please like the video, check the demo in the description if you want to play it, and of course there's the link to the Fab page if you want to purchase and make your own experience out of it. Anyway, cheers!